So welcome, Brian. We so appreciate your consistent leadership and commitment to community economic development. And as always at Setsi, we begin all things by giving thanks to our creator. We give thanks to the original stewards of the various lands we're on. We give thanks to all our ancestors, all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We give thanks to all our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So, Brian, can you please share a bit about your remarkable work with our listeners and our viewers?
Absolutely, Victor. Well, first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the invitation. It's wonderful to be here with you. So I'm Brian Carriere. I'm a senior program officer at Colleges and Institutes Canada. And Colleges and Institutes Canada, CICAN for short, is an association of Canadian colleges and institutes. And I am someone that's been in the ecosystem for a decade now, primarily from an academic perspective, where I was at the University of Ottawa, and I worked with great minds like Margaret Mendel and Tessa Hebb in their Responsible Investment Initiative. I also worked with Ted Jackson on a Danita-funded project, but I'm currently responsible for implementing CICAN's impact investment strategy, which has a few concepts, such as impact bonds and an impact investment fund, which we're quite excited about, that's aiming to empower women to be active participants in finding solutions through the climate change issue.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. And Dr. Tessa Hebb, Margaret, and these are remarkable colleagues. So we appreciate your leadership and the great company that you keep. So the next question, what's inspiring you right now in your work? What has you curious, or what's keeping you up at nights?
Well, I think I'd like to focus on the curious part because it's building on something that I've done over the last 2 weeks. So as part of our work on the gender equality and climate action file, we are currently communicating with our 140 members, starting with 15, to look at the small and medium-sized enterprises that they're working with, to see if we can build a pipeline of investment-ready projects. So over the last 2 weeks, I've traveled to Manitoba, Saskatoon, Alberta, Vancouver Island, and I've seen firsthand the great work that the colleges are doing in enterprise development and growth. So a good example is Vancouver Island University is working with Indigenous communities to develop 90 acres of land on Vancouver Island to make sure that it is all sustainable, net zero, and that it's going to empower communities on the island.
That's remarkable. Thank you so much for all that context and all the traveling you're doing on behalf of so many. We appreciate you. So my next question, what challenges and barriers do you face in your work? And what are some of the approaches you and your colleagues are taking to overcome these challenges and barriers?
Well, that's a great question, Victor. And I think that it's a common challenge that others are facing as well. When you work in the space of innovation, social innovation, impact investing, you're constantly facing established structures that are very difficult to change. So for example, I'm in an organization that's very much interested in impact investing. It has experience in impact investing, having been an intermediary in a social impact bond, and it wants to build from that experience to build more social impact investing investment funds and impact bonds. But the issue is we're an advocacy organization. Our primary mandate is to our members. And this isn't necessarily on our members' radar, although it should be. The universities have moved in this space, and increasingly there's interest, but not really to move into implementation. And we are also advancing social and environmental intervention from an education standpoint. So those are really the challenges, but we're making some great progress, and there's increasing appetite to look at doing things in a different way.
Well, incredible. So my next question, do you have a set of key priorities right now in your work?
Absolutely. Our key priorities right now is, I would say, developing a concept we're calling 513 Capital, SDG 5, Gender Equality, SDG 13, Climate Action. This is a $60 million blended finance fund that would aim to invest in women-owned, women-led businesses that are looking to advance solutions to the climate crisis. Those businesses would be supported by a technical assistance facility that would be staffed by our college members. As you can imagine, they have really robust, sound business schools, but they also have been working for decades in supporting small, medium, and large enterprises across the country.
That's incredible. Congratulations, 513 Capital. We look forward to seeing that manifest and actualize. Once again, we appreciate your leadership. So my next question is, how do you feel about the future of impact investing in a Canadian context, domestically and internationally?
That's a great question. And I hope not too many of my colleagues are going to be watching this, although I think that over a beer, they would certainly agree, is that finally Canada is rising up and taking an active role in impact investing. We had been, and excuse me, Victor, if you feel like I'm attacking your work, it's not my intention at all. But I think you'd agree that Canada had been a bit laggards compared to other countries. But now we're starting to rise up and take our place in the world, which is exceptional with the foundation of FinDev, with all the work that you and your colleagues have done across the country with the Social Finance Fund. And there's a lot of exciting activity that I think will cut across our current economic hard times. You know, usually in economic hard times, it's difficult to get initiatives going. But in Canada, we have so much momentum. So can you imagine when things turn around, just how great this ecosystem is going to be?
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of work to do, especially around the National Advisory Board on Impact Investing, the task force work. So there's a lot happening, and it's exciting, and we need to seize the moments and not let this momentum stop. So once again, I appreciate your leadership and your candor. So my second last question, what is your ultimate goal? And what does success look like and feel like to you and your colleagues?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I certainly have my personal goal, and then there are the institutional goals. So, and I'll start with the personal because it is a driving force for me. So I'm French Canadian. I come from a rural community, dealt with a lot of adversity in my life because of systemic barriers, right? People having stereotypes. And I won't go too much into the details, but that's what drives me. So my ultimate goal is to end bullying, right? And make sure that everyone is judged by their character versus their other characteristics. So I'm sorry I butchered Martin Luther King's statement. I should have practiced before, but that's what drives me, honestly. Institutionally, so Canadian colleges have always been rooted in communities, right? One statistic that we use is that 95% of Canadians and 86% of Indigenous communities are within 50 kilometers of a college campus. So colleges are very much rooted in community, and they have an interest in developing those communities, being pillars and contributors to sustainable economic development. And increasingly, there's an interest in doing that internationally. So the priorities are, how do we take the Canadian model for Canadian colleges and apply it internationally, specifically with investment readiness and impact investing.
Ashe, that's incredible. And don't worry, we will not judge you. We will only judge you by the content of your character.
There we go. Thank you, Victor.
No problem, my friend. So my last question, do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action for our listeners and our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. I would challenge people. You know, I would imagine those who are going to watch this video we're preaching to the converted, but I would challenge them to reach out across the aisle and bring people who aren't necessarily as progressive or open or whatever label we want to use, who are not necessarily empathetic towards other, and try to bring them into our sphere. That's my call to action, is not just shut down people who aren't thinking the way we are just because it's challenging, because I think that the problems are great, the issues are great, and we will need all hands on deck to solve the climate crisis and all the social crises that we're facing.
couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Once again, and I hope you don't mind, I'm gonna let everyone know today's your birthday. So the fact that you share your birthday with us and to have such a remarkable spirit and just consistently, whenever we're in meetings together, and we're in meetings together often, you always come with such a remarkable energy and intent behind your work and intentionality to really drive communities forward. So I just really appreciate all you stand for, my friend. And as always at Setsi, we close the way we began this interview, this conversation, by giving thanks and acknowledging our creator, by giving thanks and acknowledging all the original stewards of the various lands we're on. We acknowledge all our ancestors, all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. Brian, thank you so much for all that you do for so many. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Victor. That's beautiful. Thank you.